There's a short ferry boat and a long ferry boat. And I think everybody thinks that the ferry boat ride is going to be a short ride, but it's a long ride. And I don't think you can make a clear decision. You have to pick something that you have passion in, that you believe in, but you also have to understand the results of what you're doing. Like the one girl that wants to go into becoming a lawyer feels that the main reason she wants to become a lawyer, and I think the main reason like doctors want to become doctors because they want to help people, or police officers, or whatever it may be. You want to have some effect on the world. You want to leave something. You want to give something to it. But then you find that you're getting beat up, and that you're dealing with people that just don't get it. So you have a lawyer that's dealing with constantly people, and why do you need lawyers? Because lawyers are trying to be in the middle and do by the law because one person's disagreeing with the other person. One person wants your money, the other person doesn't want to give you the money. Whether they're suing you, or it's a husband and wife's, or somebody got bit by a dog on your property, whatever it is, there's a disagreement there. So you're constantly in a very negative environment, and there's all this negativity. I think you should have some type of passion in what you're doing, or bring your personality into what you're doing. So a lot of people work in a work environment, and they lose them. So they come into a work environment, but they lose their personality in that work environment. Somewhere in that work environment, you have to bring yourself into it. You can't just completely succumb to the environment. You have to be somewhat of yourself within that work environment. Bring some of your personality into it. Be more playful in the work environment, either which is dealing with you or whatever it may be. Just be more of who and what you are in that environment. Don't completely change. Of course, you have to change to work. If they tell you, hey, you got to wear a suit and tie, you have to wear certain clothes, you have to act this way, you got to do this way, but you eventually know what you can get away with. You can, what you can't get away with as far as vocabulary and words, and who you can, pinch and who you can't pinch, who you can kid with and who you can't kid with. But you need to bring some of your personality into that environment and not expect everybody to accept it, but those who do. Those who don't. You know your limitations. You need to become more playful in what you do, because you are doing it so that you get a paycheck. What gets you out of bed isn't because usually you love to go to your job. It gets you out of bed because you know you're going to get a paycheck for whatever it is that you're doing. Whether it's a big paycheck or a little paycheck, that's what motivates you to do what you're doing.
Right.
And I think that's an important aspect of really bringing your personality into what you do, because you have to be there. And that's where people feel trapped. The other thing is that if you recognize that your job is a means of transportation, wherever you want to go materially, wherever you want to go socially, you can better plan your life and your schedule of life and what you want to accomplish. Maybe you want to get your own wine shop, Maybe you want to get your own coffee shop. So these should be goals that you should really try to. Maybe you want to get your own martial arts school, but you want to do it right. And you want to have it so it represents who you are. So that's something you could bring more of your personality into. Like I used to love collecting knives, because when you went to the person when I meant collecting knives, it wasn't collecting knives because they had an arsenal. It was great to see the artist who made the knife. And they put their creation, their imagination, and you're actually talking to the person that's giving you, like James Post, who does this great artwork. I like looking at his artwork because I know it's his creation. So there's a bit of his personality, his nature into it, his creativity. You could do the same thing on any job you work. You just think that you can't. You have to try to be more of yourself. But the most important thing is what circles around your job. Your jobs is a means of transport to get you to maybe do something. So like you may have a job that you feel that you're trapped, but it's getting you to get somewhere. So you need to discipline yourself that one day you may be able to open up that little china shop, or that that martial arts school, that winery. So you have something that you have passion and true passion in, And that's socially or materially speaking. The other important thing is in the aspect of work, when work shouldn't engulf your life. And people feel trapped because they just want to get out of work. Everybody wants financial freedom. And I think if you ever speak to them, I've spoken to many people that have great deals of money. They don't feel financially free. They always want more money, and they always have to try and keep what they have because they spend so much on what they have, which is good for the economy, but they live above their means just like everybody else does. So therefore, there's no balance. So people that have a lot of money, yeah, they can go out and buy a lot of things, but eventually they'll even tell you, well, really it's just a lot of things. I remember I went to this one warehouse with a friend of mine who, deals with leather goods, knives, swords, and in the warehouse, look, when he sells it and displays it, it's like, $1,000, $8,000 for this. And in the warehouse, there's 90 of them just laying in a big pile in the corner, and there's coats just thrown over here and over, and you look at it and go, wow, look, this looks like all like a bunch of junk. But when you display it, and when you put it in the right way, and you put it this way, all of a sudden it has value. So you need to just separate yourself from the warehouse. You, as an individual, need to have value in what you do. Value in yourself. A certain amount of pride while you go to work. The reason you do go to work is to have independence. To be able to take care of yourself, to take care of your family, to be able to call on you. And when that independence gets taken away, that's when you start to panic. So there's a certain pride that you have about going to work, about doing the job that you're doing. The other part of it is what surrounds your job. That your job isn't your life, your creativity. When you get out of work, if you're an artist, if you practice the martial arts, if you have your family, you need to take stock of also the simple things. Sitting down with a friend and having a glass of wine. Going to the coffee shop and sitting and opening up a book. Getting on your bicycle and just riding around the park. Spending time with your spouse. Taking the dog for a walk. Not everything should become a chore. Working on a painting that you've been wanting to work on. Writing a book. Things that you find value in, that you lose because you become so trapped by trying to escape something only to find yourself into something else. And I think we're all trying to look for the perfect relationship. We're all trying to look for the perfect job. And I don't know anybody that's really found that. But there has to be a balance. And the balance, I would say, is really, the idea of the friction of understanding one another, the friction of seeing how well you can, learn what you can learn from your job in the environment there. Because I don't blame the people for not getting along with you. I blame you for not getting along with them. So I always blame me, in a sense, for not getting along with the individual because I know there's something I'm not seeing that isn't allowing me to get along with that individual. For the most part. There are people that are just miserable and want to do damage, and that's when you got to step up to the plate and do damage to them. No, and you got to step up to the plate and you got to realize, okay, sometimes you have to defend yourself in areas that if it's threatening. But for the most part, you could start to see and learn a lot about your job and what you do from that environment. You can learn a lot about yourself through it. And what you do outside of your job, that becomes important. People go home and they think all they want to do is get out of their job, their life is miserable, and their whole life in every area becomes miserable. That's only because you make it so. If you're an artist, what does the job have to do, and how does that stop you from creating? Why would that stop you from creating? Why? If you want to write a book, everybody's waiting for the perfect time to do it. The perfect time is right now. All you have to do is bow in and recognize it.